Welcome to the 68th episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Thursday, July 22nd, 2021, and I'm your host, Vicar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist and engineer, a lecturer, and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence, and it's titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a speculative work. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Amazon book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm very interested in how science and technology influence world affairs and the big questions facing humankind. Studying at the confluence of the great disciplines of human history, political science and thought, international affairs, science and technology offers a deep understanding and pedagogically important lessons of how advances in human endeavor have influenced and impacted civilization. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies, and on the impact AI is expected to have or is already having on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with others if you find the content valuable. Thank you. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 67, I spoke about the very real possibility of artificial intelligence agents emerging as digital replicas of humans that have passed away, or even of those who are still alive. These AI agents will continue to experience, interact, and respond to life and to relationships as they unfold, and this may extend human life, at least digitally. In today's podcast, episode 68, I'll talk about the concerns many in society have about the risks artificial intelligence might pose to our safety and security in the future. Let's get started. When people hear about artificial intelligence, they often wonder whether the future of humankind will be as dystopian and frightening as is often portrayed in science fiction films and novels. It's a reasonable question to ask. After all, human imagination can yield portrayals of the future that can be deeply alarming on so many levels. Although passionately debated amongst public intellectuals from all disciplines and quarters, the potential for a dystopian future involving AI capable of subjugating humankind is very real, but not deterministic. That is to say that what happens in the future depends upon the choices we make today. So perhaps a more meaningful exercise is to examine the impacts AI is currently having on society, and then extrapolating from here for insight on its future impact, given that the constant in this approach is human intervention and decision-making. To begin, it's important to note that all artificial intelligence agents available today are of the narrow or specialized variety. This means that they are designed to perform across a very limited spectrum of intelligent tasks, and they're extremely good within the specialized domain. But even with such focused deployment, these narrow AI agents are proving to be quite pernicious in their ability to impact society, particularly when we consider the human feelings of safety and security. Consider, for example, the AI agents masquerading as social media sites on the internet. Our Paleolithic minds have evolved over millions of years. They contain hardwired algorithms running in our limbic system, within brains that are physically limited in size and therefore capacity by the skull in which they reside. As a result of these biological and evolutionary limitations, human intelligence is simply no match for the intelligence of 21st century AI agents. Through extensive analysis of data, these agents have learned to attract teens and preteens to their platforms, and to then keep them engaged for long periods of time. Once on these platforms, children are shown images of young girls with perfect hair and makeup, perfect features, figures, smiles, and teeth, beautiful clothes and homes, perfect boyfriends, families, and so on. The psychological harm being done to these highly impressionable and vulnerable youngsters is unprecedented. Once they recognize the gap between the idealized, manipulated images they see on these sites when compared to their own lived reality, they often begin to engage in self-harm, or worse, they attempt or contemplate suicide. The rates of such dangerous behavior being documented in hospital emergency rooms across the United States has set alarm bells ringing amongst healthcare providers and stakeholders, as is a warning sign of the perniciousness of the application of narrow AI in social media. Over the last few years, AI has also been widely deployed as the backbone of state-sponsored surveillance systems in both authoritarian and democratic society. In authoritarian countries, AI-enabled surveillance systems can be used to demand that a society's behavior conform to published guidelines and ideals envisioned by the state, with strict mechanisms in place to quickly address any infractions. Although the case can be made that such systems are highly effective in improving law enforcement, it is not difficult to imagine how they can be abused when they eventually fall into the wrong hands. In authoritarian China, the Communist Party's surveillance systems are transforming the society into a previously unimaginable dystopian reality, while simultaneously erasing any semblance of human agency. This reality has not been easy to suppress, despite so much turmoil in many parts of the world. Even the most desperate of migrants and refugees, and the traffickers that enable their journeys, never contemplate emigrating there. AI-enabled surveillance technologies have also made their way into the workplace, and these systems now offer managers unprecedented power to oversee labor on construction sites, in hospitals, offices, restaurants, and warehouses. But there is no plan to provide reciprocal power, enabling workers to transparently listen and observe the actions and decisions of management. Once again, it's not difficult to imagine scenarios in which company management will abuse their newfound surveillance powers to maintain an authoritarian grip on labor. Artificial intelligence is also increasingly being deployed within the criminal justice system, in the setting of bail and in sentencing. But evidence indicates that the algorithms used in these systems are inheriting and magnifying biases and inequities that already exist in the datasets used to train these AI agents. This is very concerning and can result in the propagation of terrible injustices that will be difficult to remedy. AI is also distorting the debate around political discourse during elections by presenting people with new stories that confirm their biases, thus keeping them engaged on various platforms for longer and longer periods of time. These distortions result in deep social chasms between various echo chambers as people feel adamant that they are the ones in possession of what is really true. In fact, social media platforms are now being flooded with so many stories that large segments of society struggle to identify truthful reports from outright fabrications and propaganda. The situation is doing tremendous harm to democracy as increasing numbers of people within society turn away from democracy and towards authoritarianism. In this environment, demagogues arrive on the scene, promising to relieve the people of the burden of understanding the complexity of 21st century life. Instead, they spin simplistic tales blaming ethnic and religious minorities. This, in effect, further foments division and violence in society. In summary, this ability to manipulate the understanding and hence behavior of wide swathes of society is fundamentally inconsistent with democracy and may lead us down a very dark path long before the age of artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence, as portrayed in the frightening tales spun by our great storytellers. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts under 20 minutes. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Vicar Saidi.